Have you ever felt your legs suddenly weaken while climbing stairs? Or maybe you've noticed feeling unusually tired after just a simple walk around the block. Now here's the shocking part. What if I told you that your legs are the first part of your body to show signs of aging, even before you notice wrinkles or gray hair? And here's the twist. It's not just aging that's to blame. Many people believe that weak legs are simply a part of getting older. But that's not entirely true. In fact, some of the foods you've been eating for years, yes, even the healthy ones, might be silently making your legs weaker. Surprised? I was too when I first learned this. But don't worry, there's good news. In today's video, I'll reveal 3 simple foods that can help you strengthen your legs, regain your balance, and even prevent dangerous falls. Plus, I'll share an inspiring story of someone just like you who turned their life around. So, before you assume your legs will only get weaker with time, stick around. The truth might just surprise you, and it could be the key to keeping your independence for years to come. Let me tell you about John, a 67-year-old retired teacher who loved spending his afternoons hiking through the woods near his home. For years, John was the picture of health, active, energetic, and always on the move. But one day, something unexpected happened. While climbing a small hill, John felt his legs give out beneath him. It wasn't a steep hill, and he wasn't carrying anything heavy. But suddenly, his legs just stopped cooperating. He barely managed to steady himself before falling. That moment left him shaken, confused, and honestly scared. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's just what happens when you get older, right? But here's where it gets interesting. When John visited his doctor, he expected to hear the usual advice. It's just part of aging, slow down, take it easy. But instead, his doctor told him something that completely changed his perspective. John, the doctor said, your legs aren't weak because you're old. They're weak because you've been missing some key nutrients and making a few simple mistakes that most people your age don't even realize. John was stunned. He had always eaten what he thought was a healthy diet. He walked every day, stayed active, and never had any major health problems. But his doctor explained that as we age, our bodies process nutrients differently. Even the foods that kept us strong in our 30s and 40s might not be enough in our 60s and beyond. In fact, one of the biggest culprits behind leg weakness is something you might be eating every single day, and I'll reveal exactly what that is in just a bit. But first, let's talk about what was happening inside John's body. You see, as we age, our muscles naturally begin to shrink in a process called sarcopenia. This can start as early as age 40 but speeds up dramatically after 60. It's like your muscles are slowly fading away even if you don't feel it right away. That's why activities that used to feel effortless, like climbing stairs, standing up from a chair, or carrying groceries, start to feel more challenging. But that's not all. John's doctor also explained that bone density decreases over time, leading to conditions like osteoporosis. This makes the bones in your legs more fragile and increases the risk of fractures from even minor falls. And if that wasn't enough, years of wear and tear on your joints, especially your knees and hips, can lead to stiffness and pain, making it even harder to stay active. Imagine waking up in the morning and instead of feeling refreshed, you're greeted by aching knees and hips that make every step feel like a chore. That was John's reality. But here's the thing, it didn't have to be. His doctor laid out a plan that was surprisingly simple. It wasn't about expensive treatments or complicated exercise routines. It was about changing what he ate and how he moved. Now, before we dive into the specific foods that helped John regain his strength, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why some people stay active and independent well into their 80s and 90s, while others struggle with mobility in their 60s? It's not just genetics or luck. It often comes down to small daily choices. What you eat, how you move, and how well you understand what your body needs as it changes. John started by incorporating 3 essential foods into his diet, foods that I'll share with you shortly. But here's the twist. He also had to cut back on certain healthy foods that were actually making his leg problems worse. I know that sounds confusing, right? How could healthy foods make your legs weaker? Well, some foods that are marketed as good for you, like low-fat products or certain grains, can actually lead to inflammation in your joints or prevent your body from absorbing the nutrients it needs to maintain muscle and bone strength. For example, John was eating a lot of whole wheat bread, thinking it was a healthier choice. But for his body, the gluten in those grains was causing inflammation in his knees and hips, making it harder for him to move comfortably. Once he made a few small swaps, he started noticing a difference within weeks. And it wasn't just about diet. John also learned that hydration played a critical role in his leg strength. As we age, our sense of thirst diminishes, and dehydration can lead to muscle cramps and joint stiffness. Simply drinking more water throughout the day gave John more energy and made his muscles feel less tired. But perhaps the biggest change came from his mindset. At first, John felt defeated, like his body was betraying him. But once he realized he had the power to improve his leg strength with simple daily choices, he felt more in control. And that sense of control was just as important as any diet or exercise routine. Now, I know what you might be thinking. That's great for John, but will it work for me? The answer is yes, but only if you're willing to take the first step. And trust me, it's easier than you think. In the next part of this video, I'll share the exact 3 foods John added to his diet, the surprising foods he cut out, and the simple exercises that helped him regain his strength. But before we get there, I want you to pause for a moment and think, when was the last time you felt truly strong and confident in your legs? If it's been a while, don't worry, you're not alone. But the good news is, you can get that strength back starting today. And here's something even more surprising. You don't need to spend hours at the gym or follow a strict diet. Small changes can lead to big results, just like they did for John. So, if you've ever felt frustrated by your body's changes, or worried about losing your independence, stay with me. What I'm about to share could be the turning point in your journey towards stronger, healthier legs. And here's a little teaser. One of the foods that helped John the most is probably already in your kitchen, but you've been using it the wrong way. Curious? Good. Let's dive into the details, and you'll see just how simple it can be to take control of your leg health and enjoy an active, vibrant life once again. Let's start with something familiar. Calcium is crucial for strong bones. We've heard it for years, drink your milk to keep your bones healthy. But what if I told you that this common advice might not be the full story? In fact, relying too heavily on dairy products like milk could actually be hurting your bone health rather than helping it. Surprised? So was John. Remember John, the 67-year-old retired teacher we talked about earlier? He was diligent about his health. Every day, without fail, he drank 2 to 3 glasses of milk, believing it was the best way to protect his bones. But despite this, his legs were getting weaker, and his doctor delivered a surprising message. John, it's not just about drinking milk. In fact, too much dairy might be causing more harm than good. Here's the twist. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at absorbing calcium from dairy products. This means that even though you might be drinking plenty of milk or eating cheese, your body may not be using that calcium effectively. Worse yet, in some people, high dairy consumption can lead to inflammation, particularly in the joints. And inflammation is a key contributor to joint pain and stiffness, which can make it harder to stay active and mobile. John's doctor explained that while calcium is essential, the source of that calcium matters. Instead of focusing solely on dairy, John needed to diversify his calcium sources to ensure better absorption and reduce inflammation. He started incorporating more leafy greens into his meals, things like kale, collard greens, and bok choy. Not only are these vegetables packed with calcium, but the body tends to absorb calcium from these plant-based sources more efficiently than from milk. Plus, they offer additional benefits like fiber and antioxidants, which help combat inflammation. But John didn't stop there. He also began including fortified foods in his diet, like almond milk and orange juice enriched with calcium. These non-dairy options provided the calcium boost his body needed without the potential inflammatory effects of traditional dairy. It was a simple swap, but one that made a huge difference in how his body felt. And then there was the unexpected addition to his diet: sardines. Yes, sardines. At first, John was hesitant, but he soon discovered that the tiny, soft bones in canned sardines are incredibly rich in calcium and surprisingly easy to eat. Plus, they come with omega-3 fatty acids, which help reduce joint inflammation. Within a few weeks, John found himself feeling stronger, more stable on his feet, and less stiff in the mornings. So here's the takeaway. Calcium is critical, but it's not just about drinking more milk. By diversifying your calcium sources and focusing on foods that reduce inflammation, you can strengthen your bones, ease joint pain, and keep your legs strong and healthy for years to come. Now that we've cleared up the calcium confusion, let's move on to something even more surprising: protein. Most people think of protein as something athletes or bodybuilders need. But here's the truth: as you age, protein becomes even more important. You might be thinking, but I'm not trying to build big muscles. Why would I need more protein? Well, here's where it gets interesting. As we age, our bodies lose muscle mass naturally in a process called sarcopenia. This begins as early as your 40s and accelerates in your 60s and beyond. The scary part? Your legs are often the first place this muscle loss shows up. That's why tasks like standing up from a chair, climbing stairs, or even walking short distances start to feel harder over time. But here's the real plot twist. Not all protein is created equal, and some of the healthy proteins you've been eating might not be doing your legs any favors. Take John, for example. He was always careful with his diet: grilled chicken breasts, lean turkey, and low-fat dairy. That's what all the health advice says, right? But despite eating what he thought was a protein-rich diet, his legs kept feeling weaker. His doctor explained something that turned everything John believed about nutrition on its head. Animal-based proteins, especially in large amounts, can sometimes contribute to inflammation. Wait, what? Isn't protein supposed to help with muscle strength? It does, but here's the kicker. Certain animal proteins, especially processed ones like deli meats or even too much red meat, can cause low-level inflammation in the body. And inflammation is the enemy of muscle recovery and joint health. It's like trying to build a house on a shaky foundation. John's doctor suggested a different approach, adding more plant-based proteins to his meals. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Plant proteins? Isn't that just for vegetarians? But here's the thing. Plant-based proteins not only help build muscle but also come packed with fiber, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory properties that animal proteins just don't have. John was skeptical at first, but he gave it a try. He started adding lentils, chickpeas, and quinoa to his meals. Not only did he get the protein he needed to rebuild his leg muscles, but he also noticed something unexpected. His joints felt less stiff and his energy levels shot up. And get this, quinoa is a complete protein, meaning it has all 9 essential amino acids your body needs to repair and build muscle, just like meat does. But it also has fiber and minerals that support overall health. John even began replacing some of his meat-based meals with hearty plant-based dishes. A warm lentil stew with vegetables became his new favorite, and he swapped his usual turkey sandwich for a quinoa salad packed with fresh veggies and nuts. Within a couple of months, John felt the difference. His legs were stronger, yes, but he also felt lighter, more energetic, and less bloated. It wasn't just about muscle, it was about feeling better overall. So, here's what I'm saying. You don't have to give up meat entirely, but mixing in more plant-based proteins can help reduce inflammation, support muscle growth, and keep your legs strong. Plus, it's a simple, affordable way to diversify your diet and improve your overall health. Before you dismiss it, give it a try. You might be surprised, just like John was, at how powerful a few small changes can be. Now that we've covered calcium and protein, let's talk about something just as important but often overlooked: vitamin D. You might assume you're getting enough of it, especially if you spend time outdoors. But here's the truth. Most people over 50 are deficient in vitamin D, even if they live in sunny areas. And without enough of it, all that calcium and protein you're adding to your diet, it won't do much good. Here's why. Vitamin D is the key that unlocks your body's ability to absorb calcium and support muscle function. Without it, your bones become brittle, your muscles weaken, and your risk of falling or fracturing something skyrockets. And here's the twist. You could be eating all the right foods, but if your vitamin D levels are low, your body won't benefit from them. John found this out the hard way. Even after adjusting his calcium intake and adding more protein to his meals, his legs still felt weak. He was frustrated. He thought he was doing everything right. When his doctor ran some tests, the results were surprising. John's vitamin D levels were dangerously low. "But I go for a walk every morning," John exclaimed. "How could I be low on vitamin D?" And this is where things get interesting. As we age, our skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight. Even if you're outside every day, your body might not be making enough. Factors like using sunscreen, spending more time indoors, or simply the natural aging process can all contribute to a deficiency. John's doctor suggested some simple changes to his diet. Instead of relying solely on sunlight, John began eating more vitamin D-rich foods. He started with salmon and sardines, both packed with vitamin D and healthy omega-3 fats that also help reduce joint inflammation. Remember those sardines he added for calcium? Turns out they were doing double duty by boosting his vitamin D as well. But it wasn't just about fish. John also began having scrambled eggs for breakfast a few times a week. Egg yolks are a surprisingly powerful source of vitamin D, and adding them to his routine was simple and affordable. Here's where it gets even more surprising. Mushrooms? Yes, mushrooms. John discovered that certain mushrooms, especially those exposed to sunlight before harvest, are rich in vitamin D. He started adding them to his meals, whether in stir-fries, salads, or omelets. Seemed like a small change, but it made a big difference. Within a few weeks, John felt the shift. His legs felt stronger, his energy levels improved, and he no longer felt drained after short walks. He even returned to hiking, something he hadn't done comfortably in years. So, if you've been doing everything right but still feel weak or tired, it might not be your age. It could be a simple vitamin D deficiency. And the fix could be as easy as tweaking your breakfast or adding a few new ingredients to your meals. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't sunlight enough? That's what John thought too. But as we get older, our bodies change, and what worked before might not work now. Incorporating vitamin D-rich foods into your diet could be the key to unlocking stronger legs and a more active, vibrant life. Before you blame age for your fatigue or leg weakness, consider this. What if the solution was as simple as adding a few eggs, some mushrooms, and a piece of salmon to your routine? For John it was, and it could be for you too. Now here's the part you've been waiting for, the surprising foods that might actually be weakening your legs. Yes, you heard that right. While we've talked about what you should be eating to strengthen your legs, some of the foods you think are healthy could be doing the exact opposite. John learned this lesson the hard way. Despite making all the right changes, adding calcium, boosting his protein, and increasing his vitamin D, he still felt like something was off. His legs were stronger, but not as strong as he expected. That's when his doctor asked him a simple question. What are you still eating that you think is healthy? It turns out, John's diet still included a few culprits that were silently sabotaging his progress. And the worst part? These were foods most people believe are good for you. Let's start with a big one, whole wheat bread. Wait, isn't whole wheat supposed to be healthier than white bread? That's what we've been told for years. But here's the twist. For many older adults, gluten found in whole wheat can cause low-level inflammation, especially in the joints. This inflammation can make your legs feel stiff and achy, even if you're doing everything else. Right. John was eating whole wheat toast every morning, thinking it was a healthier choice. But once he swapped it out for gluten-free options like oatmeal or quinoa, the difference was night and day. His knees felt less stiff and walking became noticeably easier. But that's not all. John also discovered that processed low-fat foods were holding him back. You've probably seen those low-fat yogurts, salad dressings, and snacks at the grocery store. They're marketed as healthy, but here's the truth. Many of these products are loaded with hidden sugars and artificial ingredients that can cause inflammation and sap your energy. John used to snack on low-fat yogurt, thinking it was a smart choice. But once he switched to full-fat, plain yogurt with no added sugars, he felt more energized, and his legs didn't tire out as quickly. The healthy fats helped reduce inflammation, and he stayed fuller longer, which kept his energy stable throughout the day. And here's one more shocker, diet sodas and artificial sweeteners. John thought he was making a healthy choice by avoiding sugar, but artificial sweeteners like aspartame can actually interfere with muscle function and cause fatigue in some people. When he cut back on diet sodas and started drinking more water and herbal teas, his energy improved almost overnight. So here's the takeaway. Sometimes it's not just about adding the right foods, it's about cutting out the ones that are secretly doing harm. You might be eating foods you believed were healthy for years, but they could be the reason your legs still feel weak or your joints ache. Before you blame your age for everything, take a closer look at your diet. What if the foods you trust are the ones holding you back? For John, making these small changes was the missing piece of the puzzle, and it could be for you too. Now that we've tackled the foods that can help or hurt your leg strength, let's talk about something just as important: exercise. But don't worry, this isn't about spending hours at the gym or doing intense workouts. The truth is, you don't need fancy equipment or complicated routines to strengthen your legs. In fact, some of the simplest movements you can do right at home might be the most effective. Here's where things get interesting. When John first noticed his legs getting weaker, he assumed walking more was the answer. So he did, every day, rain or shine. But even with all that walking, his legs still felt wobbly and stairs remained a challenge. That's when his doctor shared something surprising. Walking is great for your heart, but it's not enough to rebuild the muscles in your legs. Wait, what? For years, we've been told that walking is the perfect exercise for staying fit as we age. And while it's certainly important for overall health, it doesn't do much to prevent or reverse muscle loss. As we get older, our muscles naturally shrink, a process called sarcopenia, and to fight back, you need to challenge those muscles with simple, targeted exercises that add resistance. John was skeptical. He thought, I don't need to lift weights at my age. But his doctor assured him that it's not about heavy lifting or intense workouts. Just a few simple movements done consistently could make all the difference. So John gave it a try. He started small, doing exercises in his living room a few times a week. And guess what? Within weeks, he felt stronger. Standing up from a chair didn't feel like a chore anymore. Climbing stairs became easier. He even noticed better balance when walking outside. One of the first exercises John tried was as simple as standing up from his chair without using his hands. Sounds easy, right? But this small movement forced his thigh muscles and hips to work harder, rebuilding strength where he needed it most. Another movement he added was rising up onto his toes and slowly lowering back down. This helped strengthen his calves and improved his ankle stability, which made a huge difference in preventing those little stumbles we often dismiss. John also started gently lifting one leg out to the side while holding onto a chair for balance. At first, it felt odd, too simple to be effective. But after a few weeks, his hips felt stronger and his walking became smoother. It wasn't about doing more, it was about doing the right things. And here's the twist: John didn't spend hours exercising. In fact, he only needed 10 to 15 minutes a day to see real results. No gym memberships, no fancy machines, just small, intentional movements that fit into his daily routine. He'd squeeze in exercises while watching TV or waiting for his coffee to brew. So, if you've been walking every day but still feel weak, don't get discouraged. It's not that you're not trying hard enough, it's that you might need to try something different. As John discovered, sometimes the simplest changes make the biggest difference. And you can start right now from the comfort of your own home. Now we've talked about food and exercise, but here's something you might not expect. Your mindset could be the biggest factor in keeping your legs strong and your body healthy. That's right. Sometimes it's not just what you eat or how much you move, but what you believe that shapes your health. Let me explain. When John first started feeling his legs weaken, he thought, well, this is just what happens when you get older. He believed that losing strength and mobility was inevitable, something he had to accept. And honestly, who could blame him? We've all heard it before: you're not as young as you used to be, or it's normal to slow down with age. But here's the twist. Those beliefs were holding him back more than his age ever could. John's doctor said something that stuck with him, and it might stick with you too. Aging is inevitable, but decline is optional. That simple sentence flipped a switch in John's mind. He realized that while he couldn't turn back the clock, he could control how he responded to the changes in his body. Instead of seeing aging as a downhill slide, he started viewing it as a new challenge, an opportunity to learn, grow, and take charge of his health in ways he hadn't before. And here's the thing: when John changed his mindset, everything else started to fall into place. He was more motivated to stick with his new diet. He found joy in simple exercises because he saw them as acts of self-care, not chores. Even on days when he felt tired or unmotivated, he reminded himself that every small step mattered. Now, I know what you might be thinking. That's easy for John, but I've been dealing with this for years. And I get it. Change isn't always easy, especially when you've been living with pain or weakness for a long time. But here's the truth, it's never too late to take back control. Your body is capable of amazing things no matter your age. The key is believing that improvement is possible. Because once you believe it, you'll start seeing it. So before you tell yourself, it's just part of getting older, ask yourself this: what if it's not? What if you're stronger than you think? For John, the biggest transformation wasn't just in his legs, it was in his mind. And that's the kind of strength that lasts a lifetime. Now that you've learned the simple yet powerful changes that helped John regain his strength, it's your turn to take control. But here's the truth, you don't need to overhaul your entire life to see results. It's not about making big, overwhelming changes overnight. It's about those small, consistent steps that add up over time. Think about it for a moment. What's one thing you can do today to start strengthening your legs? Maybe it's swapping that morning toast for a protein-packed breakfast. Maybe it's standing up from your chair without using your hands a few extra times today. Or maybe it's as simple as drinking an extra glass of water to keep your muscles hydrated. Whatever it is, the most important thing is to start now. Because the longer you wait, the harder it gets. And the truth is, you have more control over your health than you might think. Your body is capable of incredible things no matter your age. But it all starts with that first small decision, the one you make today. And here's something else to remember. You're not doing this alone. We're in this together. This isn't just a video. It's a community of people who want to live stronger, healthier lives. So if this video resonated with you, or if you learned something new, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me, what's one change you're going to make today? Have you experienced challenges with leg strength or mobility? Or maybe you have a tip or story that could inspire someone else watching this right now. Your story matters. Your experience could be the encouragement someone else needs to take that first step. You never know who you might inspire just by sharing what's worked for you. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. When you do that, you're not just supporting this channel, you're helping more people find the information they need to stay strong, independent, and active as they age. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on new tips and stories that can help you live your best, healthiest life. Remember, aging is inevitable, but decline? That's optional. You have the power to take charge of your health, one small step at a time. So let's start today. Your future self will thank you. Thank you for being here, for taking this journey with me, and for believing in yourself. I'll see you in the next video, stronger, healthier, and ready for whatever life has in store.